my God. Thank you so much. That was the
You're welcome.
best 5 minutes of my life.
Great.
I don't think I'm afraid of heights, but that doesn't mean that I'm not scared to jump off a plane from a height of 4,000 meters. In today's video, I'm sharing my experience, my first ever skydiving experience with you, so that you know exactly what to expect the day you decide to take the plunge. Literally. Let's go. Skydiving was something that I always wanted to do. So during my backpacking trip across the Czech Republic, I got an opportunity and I was like, I gotta do this. This was in the city of Prague. That's right. For a city which is otherwise world famous for majestic castles, many beautiful bridges and river cruises, you'd be surprised to know that Prague is one of the top skydiving destinations in Europe. The skydive itself happens much on the countryside, that is, way outside the city limits. The transportation is provided by the skydiving company itself. This is all included in the package. It took us around an hour or so to reach the skydiving location. If you've already been to Europe, then you know it. But if you haven't, then let me tell you. Riding along the countryside, surrounded with all the beautiful landscapes, it's such an immersive experience. It's almost like going for a nature sightseeing while taking a ride. The views continue to be amazing even at the skydiving grounds. By the way, this is what it looked like from the top. When we arrived, we were all given a safety brief about what to expect, the do's and don'ts, along with the safety gear and the harness that we're supposed to wear during the skydive. Once all that was done, we were just hanging around, looking at the planes, etc., while waiting for the skydivers to land. They were actually finishing their jump with the previous group. The other group, which was about to finish, I could hear them screaming, some of them who were just about to land. And I think it's safe to say that it was precisely around these moments when my emotion of pure excitement slowly started getting diluted with nervousness. And I started to second guess myself if skydiving was a good idea after all. By the way, when I'm saying we, I mean the group of people who were booking to skydive on a particular time slot on this particular day. So that means the we. There were actually 6 of us. Here you see only 4, because 2 of the girls from France, who by the way were also skydiving for the very first time, took a package which didn't include photos and videos. Hence, they were not part of the photos. I found that a little bit odd, but anyway. Just curious, what would you do? Would you pay 30% extra and get a copy of the photos and videos? Or would you give it a pass? Let me know in the comments. Next, it was our turn to fly. The plane was ready and so was I. Maybe. I heard my name being called out by the camera woman. As you can clearly see, I was a nervous wreck, and she was showing the excitement on my behalf as well. A few moments later, my tandem skydiver approached me and introduced himself. Him, the camera girl, and me. It was the three of us who would be jumping together later. He did some final safety checks with my gear, and then we were ready to board the plane. By the way, do you see this? This is how the camera people have the equipment mounted on their helmet. And then they have some kind of remote with which they keep clicking the photos, and the whole thing gets recorded when they're skydiving. When the plane was on the runway, the camera girl asked me a few questions about my travels. About how did I like Czech Republic so far, and what all cities did I plan to visit, and so on. When I think back about this day, I feel that she wasn't really interested in the answers. I think the point was to get me to start talking. You know, these guys, they're professionals. Maybe they could sense somehow that I was nervous, and maybe talking in these moments helps. Anyway, the plan did work because by the time we were airborne, I was back to being my usual excited self. The views were breathtaking, and it was my first time ever on a small plane like this. The engine sound was quite loud, and unlike a normal flight, here we were all seated facing the aft direction. So when the plane took off, you actually felt like you were going to fall off from the seat. Anyway, despite the engine sound, I tried my best to listen in to the final safety points which were being mentioned. We were told to contain our excitement and not to move around too much during the first few seconds of the free fall, so that the skydiver could stabilize our fall. Also, some of the hand signals were discussed. I was told by the camera girl that we'll be the second group to jump off the plane. I was ready, or so I thought. Remember the safety points I mentioned just a few seconds ago? Yeah. So I was supposed to keep my hand on my chest and tilt my head backwards. And just look at the position that I'm in. I mean, I was so nervous, I seem to have forgotten everything that was told. Anyway, the skydiver actually grabbed my hand, and then I remembered. This was my first time ever skydiving, and it was fantastic. After around 45 seconds of free fall, the parachute opened. What followed next is around 5 minutes of descent with absolutely stunning, gorgeous 360-degree views. Really, it was fantastic. I was in Czech Republic for almost a month, and I think it was in this moment that I knew that I had to come back here again.
Yes. Whoa, whoa, whoa. My God, thank you so much. Oh, that was, my God. Thank you so much. That was the
You're welcome.
best 5 minutes of my life. Oh,
Great.
I won't say that the skydiving was the life-changing experience as some people describe it, but for sure it was an amazing experience. And the only complaint I had after the whole thing was over is that the 45 seconds, they've passed by way too quick. Looking back, it's hard for me to believe that I was actually floating above the clouds, but I was. And it's an experience I'm extremely grateful to have. If you are thinking about going skydiving, especially a tandem skydiving jump, trust me, don't be nervous, go for it. You will not regret it. And in case you have any questions or doubts, you can always post it as a comment and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. For now, this is it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to my channel or at least give this video a like. As always, thanks for watching, keep exploring. This is Rahul for Roma Realm and I'm gonna see you in the next one.